Ever clicked yes to an event invite and thought, there's got to be a whole system behind this, right? Or maybe, how do they actually know if I'm really coming? Well, today we're doing more than just scratching the surface. We're taking a full deep dive. We're looking into the fascinating, often invisible tech that powers seamless event invitations and, crucially, attendee tracking. Our mission for this deep dive: to explore a real-world example. We want to see how a custom system can turn a simple calendar invite into, well, a really powerful data collection and management tool. And we're getting our insights today from a YouTube demo from 31events.com, showcasing their calendar snacks service.
Yeah, and to do that, we're basically going to pull back the curtain on what seems like a pretty straightforward user experience. But, underneath that simplicity, there's this really intricate system architecture and some, frankly, very clever solutions going on. We'll walk you through it all. We'll look at it from the user side first, the person getting the invite, and then we'll switch perspectives to the organizer's control panel, give you that complete picture.
Okay, great. So let's start there with the user. Let's put ourselves in their shoes. Imagine it's game day, September 14th, 2025. You're a big NFL fan, right? And you want to get some games onto your calendar. Our demo user today is Fats. Yeah, Fats at techvader.com. Apparently, our source says it's a funny family nickname that just kind of stuck. So Fats goes to this mini site, NFL2025.31events.com. Now, this isn't like the main 31events.com. Now, this isn't like the main 31 events site. It's a subsite built just for this demo. It's pretty clean, lists the games clearly. All Fats has to do is click a couple of buttons next to the games he wants. Looks super simple.
It really does. And, that's the mark of good design, isn't it? But what's really fascinating is what happens technically, like the instant Fats clicks. See, when he clicks those buttons, it's not just changing something visually on the screen. That click immediately calls an API gateway.
Okay, an API gateway. So not just sending an email directly or something.
Right. Think of the gateway as like a traffic controller for requests, more than just a router. It handles security, making sure the request is legit, maybe checks authentication, things like rate limiting too. So it reliably passes Fats requests to the right backend service.
Got it. Like a bouncer checking IDs before letting requests into the club.
Exactly. A very efficient bouncer. So from the gateway, the request goes to a specific endpoint API built by 31events.com. They call it the Calendar Invite Sending API. And here's the clever part. Instead of having tons of invites pre-made, which would be inefficient, the system actually reassembles the specific calendar invites Fats requested right then and there.
Ah, so it builds them on the fly.
Precisely. It dynamically generates them, tailored to his clicks, and sends them out instantly. Ensures they're always current.
Okay, so, wow, in just a flash, Fats gets 3 actual real calendar invites in his inbox. From his end, it's just click, 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 and boom, calendar's updated. That downstream experience is super quick, super simple. But, like you said, that simplicity hides a lot. For our audience, the people often building these things, the big question is, how is this all actually put together? What's the engine?
Right. That's the core of it. That smooth experience relies on some pretty robust back-end infrastructure. At its heart is what they call a calendar invite server. Now, this isn't just one machine sitting somewhere. It's a proper stack running on AWS, Amazon Web Services.
Okay, AWS, so scalable, reliable.
Exactly. Built to handle potentially lots of events, lots of users. This server stores all the essential calendar invite data, the event details, everything. And actually, for listeners who love the nitty-gritty, the source demo site has a detailed explainer on the architecture. It's put together by Ari, a front-end dev there, and Martin, one of the co-founders. They really break down the engineering choices.
Oh, that's great. We'll make sure to link that. So the mini site Fats use, the one built with Vue.js.
Yeah, Vue.js, which is great for these kinds of dynamic, responsive interfaces.
Right, that mini site talks to this AWS server stack. But okay, let's go even further back. Where does the initial data come from? Like those NFL game details Fats wanted. Who puts that in?
Good question. That brings us to the organizer. Let's call her Mandy. Mandy represents the upstream user here. She's the one who owns all that event data. She doesn't use the mini site like Fats. She uses a different interface, the Calendar Snack app. That's her control center. That's where she registers the events, inputs all the details. And here's another interesting architectural point. When she enters the data, it's not just stored as one big chunk. It gets disassembled.
Disassembled. What does that mean exactly?
It means the system breaks the event information down into smaller pieces and stores them in a database in a structured way. Think about it: location, time, description, attendees. They're stored perhaps as separate fields or related records. This makes it much more flexible. If just one detail changes later, the system only needs to update that specific piece.
Okay, that makes sense. Much more efficient than handling a giant block of text.
Exactly. So the data sits there, disassembled, ready in the database. It only gets reassembled into a complete calendar invite when the Mini-Sites API requests it, like when Fats click the button.
Got it. So it's like having all the ingredients prepped and measured, ready to bake the specific cake someone orders instantly. Okay, so we've seen Mandy putting the data in, Fats getting the invite. Seems straightforward enough. But here's where, for me anyway, it gets really interesting. For Mandy, the organizer, just sending invites isn't the whole battle, right? It's knowing who's coming. This system has something special for that, doesn't it? A kind of secret sauce.
You absolutely nailed it. That's a huge differentiator. This system does more than just send. It actively tracks what they call calendar receipt data. It's all about understanding engagement, not just delivery. So when Fats interacts with that invite in his calendar, clicks, yes, no, maybe, or even if he just leaves it tentative,
Which happens all the time.
right, that action, or even the lack of action, is captured by the system. It knows the status.
Wow. Okay, that's powerful. Because usually you're just hoping people click a link back to your website or something to RSVP,
Yeah.
which they often don't do. So how do they pull this off? How does 31events.com get that info directly from the calendar? It feels like a clever workaround.
It is clever. They describe it as essentially hacking. And let's be clear, not in a malicious way, but hacking into the participant action role.
Yeah.
This is actually a standard feature built into calendar clients like Outlook or Google Calendar, but it's often not used this way. What they've done, and they call this part their intellectual property, is figure out how to use this standard to basically command the recipient's calendar client to report the RSVP status back.
Command it. So it's not relying on Fats to do anything extra.
Exactly. Most systems are passive. They wait for the user to click out of the calendar. This system actively leverages the calendar's built-in protocols to get the status updates sent back automatically. It turns the calendar from just a display tool into an active part of the communication loop. That's the unique insight here. It solves that huge headache of chasing RSVPs.
That is brilliant. It leverages the tool people are already in. But does that work consistently across, say, Google Calendar and Outlook and Apple Calendar? They can be finicky.
That's a really important point. Yes, there are differences in how clients implement standards. 31events.com would have had to do extensive testing, build fallbacks, basically ensure it works reliably across all the major platforms. That's where a lot of the engineering effort likely went. And privacy is key too, right? It's only capturing the RSVP status for that specific event, not snooping on anything else. It uses agreed upon protocols.
Okay, that makes sense. So Mandy isn't just throwing invites out there and hoping. She's getting real data back. Who's coming, who's not, who's maybe. Where does she actually see all this valuable info? Is there a dashboard?
Yes, exactly. All that collected calendar receipt data flows back and gets aggregated. It's displayed in the Calendar Snack dashboard. This dashboard is part of the Calendar Snack app, the tool Mandy uses, remember, not the mini-site FatSaw. The dashboard talks directly to the APIs and gives Mandy a clear, real-time view of her RSVP.
Real time, so she can just check at any time and see the latest count.
Yep. Imagine needing to finalize catering numbers or room setup.
Right.
She can just look at the dashboard hours before and see, okay, 50 confirmed, yes. 10, no. 5, maybe. It takes the guesswork out. It allows for really informed, data-driven decisions right up to the event start. That's a huge advantage.
Absolutely a game changer for anyone who's ever run an event. Okay, let's tackle another common headache. Changes. Say a detail changes last minute. The booth number for that Cardinals game gets moved, or the start time shifts by 15 minutes. Normally, Mandy would be scrambling, sending update emails, maybe new invites, hoping people see the right one and don't get confused. How does the system handle updates?
Right, another great question. And the way they handle updates is really elegant. It shows the system manages the whole life cycle. The key is Mandy's own calendar, client Outlook, Google Calendar, whatever she uses daily, becomes her control center for updates too.
Her own calendar, not a separate portal.
Her own calendar. The system is designed for full CRE, create, read, update, delete operations, all managed through her familiar interface, keeping everything synchronized. She doesn't need to learn a new tool just for updates.
Okay, walk us through that with the demo example. Mandy needs to change the booth number for the Cardinals game.
Okay, so Mandy just opens her calendar, finds the Cardinals game entry, the one for the 15th, round 2, 2:05 game. She clicks into it just like editing any appointment. And she changes the location field, maybe adds booth 1200. She edits the text right there.
Simple enough.
Then she hits save in her calendar client, and that's the trigger. The 31events.com service, which is integrated with her calendar, detects that change. An update process kicks off. It goes back to that disassembly idea that figures out what changed. Critically, it uses the unique ID, UID of that event like a digital fingerprint to know exactly which event was updated.
Ah, the UID connects her change to all the invites sent out.
Precisely. Then, the system notifies the sending processes to push out an update notification to everyone who had received the original invite.
So Fats, who already said yes and has it on his calendar,
Yep.
and he just gets an updated entry, with booth 1200 now showing, without him doing anything.
Exactly that. His calendar client receives the update instruction and modifies the existing event. No new invite cluttering his inbox, no confusion, just the correct, updated information seamlessly appearing. Mandy's calendar acts as the master record, and the service ensures everyone downstream stays in sync.
Wow, that closes the loop beautifully. It gets the RSVP data back to Mandy and pushes updates out to attendees, all quite elegantly. That is incredibly valuable.
It really is. It tackles two of the biggest logistical nightmares in event management: knowing who's coming and handling changes smoothly. It makes the whole process data-driven and far less error-prone.
So let's wrap this up. What's the big picture here? We started with just clicking a button on a demo site for NFL games, and we've kind of peeled back the layers on this really quite sophisticated integrated system for managing events. It's more than just invites.
It really is. We've seen how 31events.com use technologies like Vue.js and AWS, plus their own custom APIs and that clever calendar hack to build something comprehensive. It sends invites, sure, but crucially, it tracks that calendar receipt data, giving organizers real insight. And it handles updates seamlessly right from the organizer's own calendar. It elevates a simple communication into a proper engagement and management platform.
Yeah, it's a really strong example of how smart engineering can solve those tricky, real-world logistical problems. Makes event organizers much more informed, much more effective. Less guesswork, more data.
Definitely. And it makes you think, doesn't it? If you can achieve this level of interaction tracking and seamless updates with something as everyday as a calendar invite, what other digital interactions that we kind of take for granted could be enhanced in similar ways?
Yeah.
Could we get richer feedback or provide more dynamic experiences in other areas just by thinking differently about the tools we already use?
That's a fascinating thought to end on. What other everyday tech could be working harder for us behind the scenes? Something definitely to mull over. Thanks for breaking that down for us.
My pleasure. It was fun to dig into.